Okay, I think it's 11 o'clock here, so time probably that we would start to kick off. Great to have you all here today, and our guest speaker live from Germany, Holger Mischke. I first met Holger at one of John Cornicello's Zoom meetings, and I decided I would put a post up in the chat to see where everybody was from, basically around the world and that. And not many people came back, but Holger was one of them, and he said, "I'm from Germany. I'm the guy in the Irish shirt," and that sparked my curiosity. I looked him up, and there he was sitting with an Irish green rugby shirt, and we struck up a little conversation. And I said, "Look, I'd like to do this in Ireland as well," and he agreed to do it, and here we are today. So, without further ado, I'd like to hand you over to Holger, and best of luck, Holger, and please feel free, everybody, to ask questions as we go along. And over to you, Holger.
Thank you, Sheldon. Yeah, thanks everybody for taking the time out of the day and spending some time with me and with us and looking at things from somebody you've probably never even heard of. The shirt thing with the Irish rugby shirt that I was wearing that day, that really worked for me. So I think I have another shirt which is a Mayo Gaelic football thing, and I wore that in Africa and Madagascar at some point, and even there somebody recognized that. No, I wouldn't expect somebody in Madagascar to know County Mayo, but well, you people seem to be getting around, I don't know. So at the risk of somebody leaving this prematurely, I've only been doing this for 6 years, and it's actually your fault. Because I was in Ireland in 2013 as a bike mechanic, and I was working there from spring to the end of the summer, actually. And I found it fascinating, and I took a bunch of photos, but on a mobile phone. At the time, that was all I had, really. And I thought that is not going to cut it. So 2 years later, I came back with a DSLR, doing the same job again, because that's like what I do. I travel around cheapskating because I only work and I can't really afford to travel there and just do nothing but photographs. So I came back with that and did more photographs, and I kind of found the aesthetic that I wanted, which is black and white mainly. Pretty fast. I remember buying autobiography about Ansel Adams in a secondhand shop in Galway, and I read that there, and that was pretty much it. And I got hooked on that, and ever since then I've been doing what you might call landscape photography, but we get to that, why I would not totally call it that in a minute. What I'm doing now is, as it says in my mail signature and in the ad we put out for this, I call myself a photographer, a musician, and a writer. Well, none of this pays my bills, but anyway, I'm still doing that, and I'm believing that if you have more than one creative outlet, let's call it that, then it's a good idea to kind of combine that. Not because the images wouldn't be good enough or the music wouldn't be good enough. It could all stand for itself, and doesn't need the other disciplines, you might call it. But why not amplify that? So what I'm doing right now is I write text for all my pretty much all my images. At some point, either it's out there when I'm taking them, or later in the process, editing or printing or whatever. At some point, something will come to me, and I'll write a couple of lines about what I felt and add that to the image. And that's called Two Sides Now. That's what I call it. It goes back to a song by Joni Mitchell that's called Both Sides Now. And the third step, the next step would be, as I said, playing jazz guitar for the last 25 years off and on. We want to add music. We, as a couple of friends, also play instruments. And then you have the whole package of an image to look at, a text to read, and the music to listen to. And that would be called Three Sides Now. So let's just stop talking about it. I share the screen and let you see what this is all about. Yes, here. Yeah, there it is. You should be able to see this. Do you?
Yes, yeah.
So this is, like I said, it's called Two Sides Now, but the song is Both Sides Now. And this is a couple of lines from the song that really speak to me, because I'm totally confused by life, utterly and absolutely confused. And I think the whole photography and creative thing is a way for me to deal with that and reflect on the reality the way I see it. Of course, I don't see a reality in black and white. I would have to see my eye doctor about that. But still, it's the way I want that to look, and I think that's the best way to convey what I'm thinking and feeling about this. This is actually not the way this would be presented. It's just for the sake of this this medium that I would have the text on the mat. Usually you would get the image and then the text will be in a little booklet, and at some point maybe a stick with MP3s or something to get the music to you. This is not too far from my house. I call this Perfect Imperfect. So I think the background is the sky looks like water or clouds, which of course they are, or marble or whatever. It's a geometry that nature can just do without any really any problems. And all we can do is the contrast is that pole and this all angular and linear thing. So I like the contrast in that really a lot. And this is, when you see the text, sometimes in this case it's kind of obvious, and it makes sense when you look at the image and read the text. But sometimes the text really doesn't seem to have anything to do with the image at all. And I don't judge that. It's just what I felt and what I thought at that moment, and somewhere inside me that makes sense. And it's not to explain anything. It's more like an invitation. See, this is what I thought. This is what I felt. And you just go ahead and find your own story for this. And that actually was called Almost There, this one. This is in Normandy, France. And I have no idea what the name of the city or village or whatever was. I kind of forget these places, at least if it's French names, because I don't speak French at all. In this one, I found it really interesting that if you cover the bottom half and you see the post on the right, then it looks like it could be the same size. It could be a tower on the same plane as the lighthouse. But if you reveal the bottom half, then it jumps to the forefront, and of course it's just a pole, and it's not that huge. And the little things like the sailboats on the horizon that made for an image I really like. This is Looking East, and it's an example of something I don't do too much because it's so contrasty, and it doesn't have so much detail as usual. But if it's like that to begin with, which on a gray day, and it was a really gray day, that one. Then there's not too much anyway in that image, and the other ones are something like a winter landscape or something. It's monochrome to begin with, and there's not too much in it, so I could go for this look. And there's also some things when you look at the waves, which look like a drawing or an etching. Then that's something that I add in a plugin that's called Topaz Labs Simplify. You can do stuff like that. And of course, these two birds, they're not cloned. They look just a tiny bit different, but I love it that nature just cloned it that way at the moment I looked at that.
It reminds me, Holger, as if the two birds were sitting on the periscopes of submarines or something, you know, going there.
Yeah, the Dutch, they have all these poles on the shore there. I have no idea what that is for, something breaking the waves, or I don't know.
Yeah.
But it was really, it was all, it's again, this is this something like just being at the, it feels like this nature set that up for someone to walk past and take a picture of it.
Yes, yeah. Very much so, yeah.
And I was lucky enough to be that person at that day. Another example for the use of that plugin is in the detail here. If you're in the forest, and I have that often, that I think it's kind of a nice view that I have there, but it's just too much going on. There's all these leaves and twigs, and it's too much. And with this Simplify plugin, it does exactly that you can simplify and you can adjust parameters. It's not just one setting. You could make even in more detail disappear, but you can just set it so it's easier on the eye, maybe, if you want to call it that. This is called the path because it's a path in what they call philosopher's path that has signs, wooden signs with text from Walt Whitman and other people along the path. And so while you're walking that very beautiful path in a valley, that we found that village because we know, you just don't find it. We knew it was there, and friends had a house there. And it was only 24 people. It's in the south of France, and at night you only hear a creek and birds. And it's so relaxing, that place. And I found this path in there, and that day, the light, it almost looks too much, and you think like maybe I painted that in Photoshop. I did one little thing here, I think at the bottom here, to connect that, so really one line coming down here, going over there. But that's all really because I don't believe in photoshopping too much. That was light like on that day, really.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Thank you. One day, and I had this thing for myself for hours. Nobody came in there because there were only like 24 people in there, and there was no service, so no tourists. That was great. And it's yes, looking at that and thinking of like 900 years of this thing just sitting there, and I'm looking at the same stones, I'm touching the same stones like these people 900 years ago did. So yeah, I thought that, and the coolness in the place, I thought that image catched that pretty good. This is called Breathing Out. Yeah, that's in, what is his name? It's a writer, a British writer, Robert Graves. He had a house on Mallorca on the Spanish island, and you can visit it now. And then one day I came in there. I think his son was at the gate. He opened that for me, and we talked a little bit. And the good thing was I was alone in the house again. I don't know how that always happens to me, for quite a while, and so I took my time. And that was this place there by the window. You look out, and beyond these trees and the hill in the background, there's the sea. There's a little bay that he used to walk down every morning and swim in the sea. And I thought that was, I call this all you could ever ask for, because this place, to be creative, to be writing, to be doing whatever. I don't want to imagine a 27-inch iMac on that table, but that would ruin it. But with this typewriter, and sitting there in a place like that, and be creative and write and think, I really liked that, and the whole way they set it up, of course, it was really nice. Oh yeah, that's called Lone Pine. And I was walking, that's in Spain too, that is also Mallorca. And I was walking up on this place, and my wife was with me, and she's pretty well trained by now, that she knows whenever I see something, she sees it before and say, he's going to want to take a picture of that. So she stopped, and we took that picture, and or I took that picture. And this is an iPhone shot, because for some reason, the first thing I did, I took the iPhone shot and thought like, well, I'm gonna post it to social media or just share it later or from the phone. And then I took out the DSLR and took, I don't know, a couple of images of that. And when I came back home, I saw that the composition on the DSLR images was never as good as the one with the iPhone was. So I just stuck with this. With the you can still print it big enough for me. I don't print at huge sizes anywhere. I go up to A3 plus, and that's pretty much it. So I don't care too much about that I have the greatest, latest equipment. I mean, in the printers, I do. I have a Epson printer, but with the cameras, I have a D300 and a D7100, and I don't really see the need to go any bigger than that. This is All I Need, and it's in the Netherlands on the beach, and I was looking at it and thinking like, how can there be so many textures in this one tiny place really. Because from the sand at the bottom to the sand on the side of the dune, which comes in different varieties, and the wood of the hut, and the sky, and the grass and everything. It was I had a field day with this one. Really, it was so. It's this excitement that you get when you look at something and take pictures, and you know this is going to be a keeper. I might not exactly know at that point what I'm doing with this, but I just know I will keep this. This is a good one. And that was exactly one of these moments that I thought this is going to be good, and I'm going to have so much fun editing this and making it look the way I want it to. Oh yeah, this is the one I talked about where I said I have no idea how I did that. It's a Topaz Lab simplified filter, and I think it was something like wood carving or what. But I don't know exactly how that worked out. But it's a forest in Belgium on the Belgian-German border, and I call it "And Miles to Go" in reference to the poem by Robert Frost, because it felt like that. It totally felt like that. We went there not super early in the morning, but in the morning, and it was pristine. There's nobody has been walking there. At least not too much, and it was totally quiet. There's a special kind of silent in these woods with the snow, like because everything soaks up any sounds that might come up. Because and I hoped I would get some of that feeling, some of that atmosphere. I would get that across in the image. And I'll go back to Greece. Well, not back. We haven't been there yet with this one, but. This is Greece, and it's called "I Hated You." I have no idea why I call that "I Hated You," because there's nothing hateful in the image, but that's the names for the images and the text. It just comes. And then I let it do that because I think somewhere in my stupid mind there's some reason for this why I do it like the way I do it, and I don't want to judge that or say like, no, that's not good enough. That's not working. It feels good to me, and that's all it needs. This is in, you probably all have seen images of Santorini in the Aegean. And I went there with this, again, I was a guide, and the way I had to shoot on these occasions was always, you take one shot, maybe two, because the group is waiting. I was a hike guide at that point. I have to lead them from Fira, which is the main city on Santorini, up to Oya, and which is a walk along the caldera. And they were waiting, so I just take one or two images and boom, I have to go. And it worked out pretty well because I think this is one of the, I have to say this is one of my favorites. And the other thing was that you probably know Santorini from all these images which gave HDR a bad name. Because everybody takes these images over Oya with the blue domes of the churches and that and the white buildings, and it's over, and then they go wild on HDR, and I totally hated that, and I was like, no, I'm not going to take one single color shot of Santorini, or at least I won't show it. And then we'll do everything black and white, and we'll find something that doesn't look like Santorini at all, and this was one of them.
Holger, can I interrupt? Would you say that you can see in black and white when you look at an image, when you look at a scene? Do you kind of say, right, I know where that's going in black and white, or do you just kind of go, no, I'll tweak it afterwards?
No, it's not. I mean, seeing in black and white, I would have to see my eye doctor about that. But that you have to, before the conversion to black and white, you have to have a good color image anyway. It's not that I'm taking the shot and thinking already, oh, I'm going to adjust the settings so it's going to come out better in black and white. No, it's always, I'm taking color images to start with. And so I don't really see any, I just see, with this one, it was the planes that you have this cross up front, and so it has a depth and everything. That was what I saw. But of course I know, because I'm committed to that. I know this thing is going to be black and white. I only have, like, I think on my website are 3 color images, maybe. Yeah. because they only made sense in color. But for the rest, no, I don't see it in black and white. I know it's going to be black and white, 99 point whatever 9%. But first, I'm going to have to take a hopefully good color image before I can.
Yeah, no, because on this one, the two crosses are strikingly contrasty against their backgrounds.
Yeah. And
the one in the front, they definitely seems to have almost a 3D effect for me. And I know I'd walk past the scene, I'd take a picture, but I don't think I'd be thinking in black and white. I'm just wondering if that was.
It's not, that's something that's really, I mean, it's of course an aesthetic choice that I say I want to have this in black and white, and that's a given for me. But first, of course, and especially in this situation, like I said, I only have 1 or 2 shots. I'm not working the scene and running around this thing and thinking, oh, maybe I was getting a better angle or something. All I do here is I try to walk, not only here in Greece, but wherever I take my camera or my iPhone or whatever. I just to try to be mindful and have an open mind and an open eye, so I can see something like this and react to it, and not, because I had situations like. I don't have the image here, not in the selection, but I was driving in a van in Greece when I was working there, and came by a shop. We had a rack with like watermelons in it, and on the rack, on top of it, was a little kid playing with a phone, and next to it was standing a woman, and she was on the phone too, and it was like they were texting each other. The little kid from top of the rack between the watermelons and this woman standing in front there. So I'm passing this thing at like, I don't know, 40 miles an hour or something. And I'm thinking too long. I'm thinking, what was that? Did I just see this? And I'm passing and I'm driving, and at some point I'm slamming the brakes, turning around, going back, and the image is still there, and I was lucky. So I took the shot, and I still have that image. But for the rest, you really have to have an open mind and have the eye for it, and then react and take the shot when it's there. How did we get it?
Thank you.
No problem. So finally, Island. Woohoo! This is Lahinch, and I think I just butchered the name. I have no idea how you say that. What?
Perfect.
Okay, so it's Lahinch. Woohoo! It's called August Come and Went, and it's just I have a thing for this dunes and grass on it, and the wind and the sky. It's just all, like I said. Okay, phone is on. Well, ignore that. They won't take too long. It's like I said, with this whole nature thing. Although like I mentioned, I wouldn't want to call myself a landscape photographer, but I think that when you're there, it's no coincidence that whenever all of us want to go and feel stressed and say like, I need to charge my batteries again, I need to relax or something, we go to nature. You wouldn't, very little people would go and book a vacation just in a major city. I wouldn't think so. If you really want to relax, we all go back to nature, because I think at some level, we know that this is where we came from, this is where we're going to. So that's probably why I always feel at home when I do something like this, in an environment like this. And this is where I was staying when I was on Ireland. This is Loch Mask, which is, I think, an hour north of Galway by car. And with this one, I don't know why, but I always had this feeling when I was on Ireland that for some reason, although your country is so much smaller than ours, that your sky is so much wider than ours. I don't know how that works, but you kind of did it. And with the reflections, I thought reflections were always fascinating. And with this one also, in the front at the bottom right, that you can see what's underneath the water, what's at the bottom there. I like that effect a lot. And this is even more. This is up here. Let me see. This little building here, that was where I lived on the edge of Loch Mask, and that's a pub up there. So it was so many times that there was something fascinating. This is called coming home, sort of, because that was second year I was there, and I still knew all the people that I ran into there. And with the pub, that was always the thing. I wasn't really too much into drinking or something, and I'm not, I hate to say it, but I'm not a really social person. I don't go to parties or something, and I wouldn't go into the pub here where I don't know anybody. But up there, you didn't really have a choice. And for the rest of these 2 years, I always went up to the pub. Well, I'm going for one beer, and it never happened that way. Because you're going up for one pint, and then you meet people, and you're talking, and they buy you a beer, and you buy them a beer, and like 6 hours later, you're totally drunk, but you're happy. I mean, I can totally live with that. And oh yeah, this is Santorini again, and I was so happy I found this, because it's called That's Me on the Other Side, and I was like, this is the absolutely anti-Santorini shot, because it doesn't have the white buildings, it doesn't have the dome, it doesn't have nothing of what everybody's taken pictures of in Santorini, but it's on the outskirts of Oia, and it's definitely there, and I like it, for the little cloud up there, for the wood on the door, and this kind of wall. It was perfect for me. It's the kind of thing I really like to say, like, see, this is Santorini for me, and not what you would think it is. And just to, I mean, panoramas, showing them on a computer screen is not really, it doesn't work too well. But this was on the ad that we put out, so I thought I should at least show it once. This is Healy Pass. That's between County Kerry and Cork on the Beara Peninsula. That's Glenmore Lake in the middle. And we went up there, and there's a little shop at the top of Healy Pass when you just before that, if you would go this road, if you would walk back a little bit, there's a little shop, and I was like, why would you have a shop here in the middle of nowhere? It doesn't make any sense. Does it pay off? The old guy in there was happy, and that is good enough a reason for me. So I walked a little further, found this, and in the text it says something like, I didn't prepare the text here, sorry, but it says something like, so I went over the pass and saw everything I had in the world. And this is somewhat good. I like panoramas because it's a way more, it's more the way you see, because your camera's view is, I mean, it's dependent, of course, on the lens you have on there. But this was more what I saw when it came up there, and it was so overwhelmingly beautiful that you could look that far and you could see the mountains in the back, and then the sunlit mountain here on the left, and the sheep and all that. That was so island for me. And I have this thing printed on aluminium in my bedroom. That's the one thing I look at every morning when I wake up. I look at County Kerry.
Holger, is that a series of images that you stitched?
Yeah, it's 5 or 6, I think.
Okay. Okay. Now I'm not sure if anybody else is seeing it, but the toolbar, that your two toolbars on the right and left are blocking the sides of the image for me.
Oh, let me see if I can. Wait, let me get this out of the way.
That's it.
Actually, what you did there, yeah, okay. If you can take that one away, and yeah,
like this.
Yeah, that's lovely. And can you zoom in on the image a little to various points?
We can. Wait, oh, that's maybe too much. Wait, I can put that on fill. Fill, please fill. Take those away. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
oh yeah.
Oh no, it doesn't work like that. Like this, I have to drag that over. Oh, and I liked it, the fact that, can I have this building, please? Well, that one over there. So totally remote, and in this landscape, Jesus.
And is it primarily topaz that you use on your post-processing?
Oh no, that was. Let me zoom out of this a little bit. That's we can look at that while I'm talking. Topaz was just in a few of those. What I usually use a lot is Nick. in the collection. But there I only use color effects for a couple of things, and Silver FX Pro helps a lot in the black and white conversion. It's not the only thing, because there are so many ways. You know that, I don't have to tell you that. There's so many ways to do black and white conversions, but Topaz is almost always in there. Although it's not always the same way I want to do it. It depends on what I feel like. I mean, I'm not, when it comes to Photoshop, I'm not like a guru or something, not at all. I know more about Lightroom, I guess. But it's when I edit, I don't want to waste too much time in it. Of course, you want to make it look good. There's no doubt about that. But I don't want to spend too much time learning Photoshop, because that could take you like ages if you really want to know everything. But I just want to learn a couple of things that I think that are helpful for me in what I do, and then spend as little time as necessary to work on the images, because it's a big part, of course, and I want to print them out, and I'm not finished before I get a print, but I think the time spending out there doing new images is a lot more important than to spend sitting in front of the computer.
Yep.
Yeah, and this is my website, this is my blog. Everybody has a blog. And the email, the Instagram, everything you would need. I'm totally open to meeting people, to talking to people, discussing, like from the Cornicello thing, I'm still in touch with one or two of the photographers, just mailing and talking about photography. Especially, I'm not so much about, like I said, not so much about gear, because I don't think that's the most important thing. But I totally love to talk about the thought process behind it, because that's also why when I said I bought this biography by Ansel Adams, I thought it was really interesting, because it was more about like how he was brought up, what his thoughts were, how he was feeling about the whole thing. And I don't read too many like Photoshop books or anything like that, because the rest is more interesting. That what makes your photography special is more like what you think, and not so much the techniques and the gear behind it, I guess. Yes. That's what I have.
Thank you very much. So I don't know if anybody has questions for Holger. Please feel free to ask.
Absolutely.
Can we pick up? Sorry.
No, sorry. I was just going to ask, have you had exhibitions? I see lovely prints framed on the wall behind you there. Do you exhibit, or, you know, how do you get out there?
Yeah, that's I think I'm like many creative people, and I think I count myself in that. I'm crap at marketing, really. I should be more. I have had exhibitions, but I could have had more if I just get myself out there. And I totally know that, of course, whatever you do, even if you think it's really good, and even if you get the feedback that other people say, apart from your girlfriend, who would probably suffer the consequences if you said anything you do is not that good. I have good feedback, but I'm still not pushing it, because, of course, if you have something good, if nobody knows that you're there, you won't sell anything, if that's what you're going to. But it's, yeah, I'm trying to do more in that direction and get more exhibitions. And of course, I've picked the perfect time now. Now the exhibition that's going to be hard, but still. So this is really great for me, that I can talk to people about what I do and show something this way, instead of well, we're gonna wait. It's not that bad. You can, I mean, the numbers are rising a little bit right now, but I think we could go look into exhibitions pretty soon again.
That'd be cool. Thank you.
One thing that came out in our discussion before this, Holger, you're against framing pictures.
Oh, again, it's not like I'm saying whoever does that had a serious problem, but it's, to me, like I said, I'm limited in a way by the printer. But I could buy something bigger, of course. But I have this P600, and it goes up to A3 Plus, and I'm totally happy with that, because I think it's an way back. If you're looking at the 30s or 40s, and when they are doing view cameras, of course, they were limited to that. So you would see all these images in an 8x10 or something like that. But I thought what comes with it, if you have that size, is that it's more intimate. You have to stand closer to the image and you see the surface of the paper, and all that adds to it, instead of something huge that you see like from I don't know, 5, 6, 7 meters away, or however huge that thing is, and you're missing out on something. So I like that it's smaller. And like I said, because the surface of the paper and to kind of, they shouldn't touch it really, but to have this closeness to that only really works if you don't have it under glass. So I'm not doing that anymore. I'm going back to this. I mat it, and that's it. If you buy it and then you want to frame it, of course that's your choice. But I would think, for me personally, I have these on the wall, and that was made before I made this decision. But now I'm only matting it. That's it.
Okay. I certainly enjoyed that. I don't know if any more questions that anybody want to ask.
And we see the image you had, Holger, of the trees. Was it in Belgium?
Yeah.
Yeah. Is it easy to go back to it? No, it's on your slide slideshow to
yeah.
Have another look.
Share this again. I thought he was saying, could I
Excuse me for a moment. I have a doorbell.
Let's see, what is where was it?
That's it, yeah.
Oh, there, yeah. Oops, that's too big. No, Jesus. Why is it going away? Okay. Yeah.
A lovely image. It's a very brave composition, but it works extremely well. Breaks all the rules, and I love that. Anyone that takes a picture and breaks rules, I think they should be elevated. I love that image.
It's I had this one on. Robert Rodriguez does these live critiques on the internet, and I sent that one in, and then he's doing something like, well, I would do it this way, and he tries to edit that while you're looking at it. And the first thing he said was like he wanted the tree in the foreground. He wanted that to be off center a bit, and I'm like, the thing is off center really, Robert.
Yes,
that's not a problem, and it's not a problem at all really. I mean, of course, it's his thinking of what he should do, and I'm like, no, this is off center, and really you can't crop on the sides anymore, because these trees that they're the one over on the right here, this one and that one, they're strong enough, and if I take that closer, that's not gonna be good. And the next thing he did was that he said, I mean, the pattern in here, the rhythm is, I love that too, because all these vertical lines, that's just great.
Mm-hmm.
But he said, everything in this image is more or less sharp. So he says it's too much, it's overwhelming, that everything in the image is asking for attention. Every single tree is saying like, look at me, look at me. That's what he said. And then he was blurring the background, because he wanted to have the focus on the tree here in the front. So he blurred everything back here, maybe the big ones here not so much, and did something about the contrast. Well, that's a choice, but it's the good thing is that it's not really, he couldn't say, and I wouldn't believe it anyway, that well, that's the wrong way to do this. It was interesting to see the input, but and I was with the blurring, I was okay. You could see it that way, but I never had anybody say, well, this image is too much for me. It's everything is too busy or something. But I was kind of mad that it was like, the tree is off center. What are you talking about?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That was interesting, at least to hear something somebody else. At least a photographer, really. It's not, of course I get feedback of this just by anybody looking at this, whether they like it or not. But to have this kind of feedback saying, well, I would have developed it a different way, and then explaining why he would do that. I think that's something interesting that he does with this creative critique live thing, I think it's called.
I like it the way it is, Haga, too.
Absolutely. I think at times if you ask people for their opinion, you're going to get it, and you have to look at the original photographer. I could see that image working so well balanced. The fact that the tree is off center. Anyhow, I don't know how Robert couldn't see that, but I just love the image, and I can see why you have everything in the depth and sharp. It's quite deliberate. It's a lovely image. Beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you. But it's always interesting to me here. It means here's the same thing that it was a photographer looking at another photographer's image, and of course it's his opinion. But we have the same thing here in these discussions, and with the talk we did at John Cornicello's channel, that it's only photographers meeting. It would be so different if we have like 2, 3, 4, 5 people who have nothing to do with photography and would add their opinion on the images, because it's so different. We always look at it, and whether we want it or not, we will think in technical terms also, and thinking of like, how could he be done it, or how did he do that, or whatever. But the not that I wouldn't like that feedback, but I think because what we're trying to do is we're trying to share and eventually, hopefully, sell some of the images to people who just think, this is beautiful. I want this in my home. I want this to be on my wall and make me feel good every day. And so I kind of value that opinion more of these people who are, not because they're buyers. I'm not doing this. None of this pays my rent or any bills at all. But just this to have reached somebody without this technical thing, without anything of that, just to touch somebody that he feels like, I need to have this in my home, that would be great. And that's eventually, I think, the reason why we all do this, and not because we want to sell something or be mentioned in history books like an important photographer or anything like that. If you're doing it for that, you're doing it for the wrong reasons.
Yeah.
You want to do it because you touch people, I guess. But that's just me.
Olga, it seems to me that you haven't, none of what we've seen are composites. That they all seem to be the original frame as such.
Yeah.
Is that true for you? You wouldn't interfere with an image by dropping in a sky or anything else?
No. Yeah, that's the classic question of how much Photoshop is enough or too much. I thought, like, when I said in the beginning, this is why I love to talk about the thought process behind it. When I said I'm confused with life, and this photography thing is a way for me to deal with that and to kind of find a reality that works for me, and to reflect by making these images to what I see in the world, it wouldn't make sense if I think that, and then I'm going to say like, well, the clouds in this image doesn't really work for me. I'm just going to pop in something from another image. I mean, probably you could somehow justify that, but for me it doesn't work because that's not the reality I'm seeing. Black and white, of course, is also not the reality I'm seeing, like I said in the question that Sheldon had. But that is an aesthetic choice, but I really draw the line. Of course, I mean, I clean up a little bit. In this image I had on the left here where the snow is, in front, I had a twig, and that it just looked like crap. It was just peeking in from outside. And of course, something like this, I clean up and take away little things that are just distracting and not helping, but it's very, very little. And I never do anything huge to it, like replacing and I wouldn't even go so far as, if I have a person way off and it's just a little spot, then I might take that away, but I would rather wait until everybody's gone and then do the image. So it's really what I saw and not so much. Because again, that also plays into that, what I said about that I don't want to spend too much time time in front of the computer and doing that. I'm not totally into get it right in camera, but in terms of saying like, well, I'm just going to wait 5 minutes and these people are going to be gone. And then I don't have to worry about how I got them out in Photoshop or something. I think that makes a lot more sense to me than just sitting here and figuring out how I can do that.
Holger, one thing that I just kind of looking at this image and it keeps jumping back at me. I love the little triangle on the foreground tree, the triangle of
Oh,
snow at the bottom. It's really kind of pointing to, this is me. You know, it's making a
yeah.
statement to me. It's please tell me the snow was like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
Like I
good,
said,
good.
the only one thing I changed was, well, of course, the black and white conversion and that. Like I said, there's one twig here on the lower left that was the only thing I changed. The rest was exactly like, and it's again, it was something like in the first image when I said that the sky looked like marble or water or whatever you could think, you know it was something organic. And here I looked at this and I thought, it looks like waves. Just that's a geometry that nature has. It's something that if you look up, what's it called? It's something mathematical. The effect that if you have cauliflower and you break it up and the small thing you take off looks the same like the whole thing.
Yes. Yeah.
It's a concept that it has to do with chaos theory and maths. It's a kind of mathematics that you think these people are constantly stoned. I mean, they're getting paid for this, but it sounds like something you could come up with after a night at the pub or something. But it's about this whole geometry that only nature can do. That even if we try to somehow do the same thing, we couldn't, or at least not in the. This is just snow falling. It's just a natural way of forming something, and that makes it so. You look at that, and then of course it looks like Rembrandt lighting on this,
Yeah.
this triangle you talked about, and that is a great thing that you now by saying that and pointing out, oh, it says. Like, look at me, or it's pointing at this tree. You already write your own story. The 3 lines I had under it, you just replace them by your own story. That's what I wanted with all of these.
There was another image there of the grasses and the dominant sky, and there was a little, that's it, yeah. That to me summarizes Irish weather. You've got sunlight up in the top right. You've got the clouds for the rain. You've got the grasses are all being blown across with the wind. You're at the beach. You know, it seemed like a good idea to go to the beach that day, and then all this happens. It just summarizes weather to me. You know, I love it.
Yeah, there's some of this at that day. I have. Oh, it's also not here. I have another one. Of well, actually, if we just turn around 180 degrees, if we look on the water, and on the right you have there's a lighthouse at the far end, and you have this the sand is kind of, I think it's the water, the tide just came back and the water was pulling out to the sea, but it still covered the beach, and the sky was like that. And then my dog, one of the dogs you kept hearing. He was running across the beach, and that also was like he was running like towards the water, and it was just great because it was so wide, and you could see the sky forever again with this huge sky as people somehow installed over your island. I don't know. It's a lot of it's that day especially, but we could go through island pictures for days here. It's really because this I don't know how you feel about that. I mean, I live in an area you could, of course, I still have the theory that you all have. Pictures are everywhere. I could take pictures with it, which I did, of course, in my apartment, and they could be okay. But to live in a country like that, depending maybe in the middle of Dublin is different too. But to live in something that beautiful, are you still totally aware of that? Or that gift that you've been given just to live in a place like this?
I think we've taken it for granted, but I think COVID has brought a lot of people, you know, they were holidaying and within the country. I was away last week in Sligo, and I was asked to take these people's picture, but I take a picture against the Strand Hill background, you know, and they said, you know, that was the first time that this couple had actually holidayed in Ireland. They were probably mid-20s, you know, and they were doing the whole Atlantic way, and
Atlantic way, yeah.
They were just loving it, but they had never realised really what Ireland was like, and I think a lot of people are like that. I'm getting a message here from Paddy. Southern Germany is also stunning. Incredible mountains and skies. So
Oh yeah.
there's one for you, Holger.
Yeah, but yeah, of course I mean, the mountains that's different. We're pretty flat here because we're close to the Netherlands. Is all the same, but of course we have that too. I get that, but well, maybe it's always that the grass is greener on the other side of the hill that I think of Ireland, and I'm thinking like, man, I'm so jealous that you have all that. But of course, yeah, we have the Alps, and I could go there in like 8 hours, I guess.
Okay. Do we have any more questions? We're just coming up on the hour there, and if we don't have any, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, that was a great presentation. Loved it.
Thank you, Thomas.
Absolutely.
Yeah, very good, Holger. Excellent.
Thanks. Oh, that's Jared, yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Very good.
Thank you all for coming and staying. Because it's so easy with these. You just click on, nah, that's not going to be for me, and you just leave, and you don't. Some people just don't even say goodbye. But it's good when I come back from full screen and see, hey, there's actually still people. Very good. Thank you so much.
Thanks
Okay.
for the invite, Sheldon, too.
All right. Well, listen. Hopefully we can do this again, and hopefully, Holger, we can have you come visit and talk to us again. I know you do a lot of travel photography, and you know, Madagascar and
Yeah, that was
Asia, and
I said that I had these when I had this I hated you thing from Greece. I could never afford to go abroad too much travel. It's not I don't want to make you feel bad about it, but that's how it was. And so I took jobs in several countries, and then I just took the camera. And so I've been in Thailand and Africa and Spain and Turkey and whatnot, and managed to pick up a couple more pictures. So I'd be glad to do this again and show something else or do something completely different. I don't know, whatever you want.
okay. Well, we'll talk again, but keep an eye on our Facebook page and my website. The news section will be announcing any more Zoom meetings that we do. So thank you everybody for coming along, and unless anybody has any more questions, I'll end the meeting now.
Yeah.
Sheldon, thanks
Bye,
very much.
everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Thank
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Bye now.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Many thanks.